So what I'll be talking about today is, social to dollars, how beauty brands are leveraging on social intelligence. So you can see a lot of statistics here. So social data is everywhere. Consumers are talking about your brands and product constantly, pretty much everywhere. So we're talking about huge data here. So I'm not going to go through everything, but you can see that there are 500 million tweets per day globally, 4.5 billion Facebook likes, 55 million new Instagram photos are being posted every day. 72% of all internet users are now active on social media. What's really interesting is that your consumers are expressing themselves on those various channels. They're posting pictures, they're adding hashtags on Instagram, etc. Another interesting statistic is 31% of consumers say that their decision to buy a product was influenced by something they read in a blog. So it's not just about social media networks, it's also about blogs, it's about forum, and especially in the beauty sector. So in a way, social media has become a large organic focus group. So consumers have access to information, they have a voice like they never had before. They demand authenticity and quality. So it's not just about what you think your consumer wants, it's about what they're saying actually. So you have this vast amount of data that is available for you publicly, and that's where we come in and we try to organize this data so you can make a sense of it. SYNTHESIO's philosophy is about social intelligence. So it's about putting social media at the heart of your communications. So there are the obvious use cases such as PR and marketing, but social data and the voice of the consumer can be used for sales and throughout your organization. Social intelligent organization, they optimize the product visibility, they optimize their brands on those social networks. They monitor sentiment towards your products and brands, and they measure the impact of their marketing campaigns by listening to these conversations and looking at the insights extracted from it. There's huge opportunities for engagement, not just listening to the conversation, but engaging with your consumers where they discuss your products and brands and where they spend their time. And you can monitor the conversations about your brand, but also about your competitors, about a vertical market, etc. So what I'll be talking about today, more specifically, is about these 4 points. So first, audience understanding, then trend tracking and analysis, product launch and evaluation, new product development, and ambassadors assessment. So this slide is about how we approach understanding how we look at this data. So we've been commissioned by one of our customers to look at, more specifically at social newbies. So their target group was 12 to 19-year-olds in South Asia, in 4 countries more specifically. So it was Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, and India. So what we did to start this analysis, we looked at about a sample of 10,000 of these newbies, and we followed their activity online on the various channels. So the key objective for that brand was to support the acquisition of the clients within their target group, to define typologies, and to get insights from those conversations. So our first approach, gathering the data, following these newbies, and then analyze the textual and visual data to really understand what they're saying about the product, what they're saying about the brand, what they see during the various campaigns, and really understand who they are. So as a result, we built typologies, and we're extracting insights from those typologies. So the typologies that we created based on those conversations, we created four kind of personas. So the smeared kittens, they define themselves by the celebrity they love, and they're attention seekers. We have the achievers, who propagate their beliefs online, and they constantly challenge themselves and their peers. Then the dreamers, who are more artistic, creative, and non-conformist. And finally, the peacocks, who are all about gamification, and they're all about themselves. So they're constantly posting selfies of themselves. So if we look more specifically at one of these personas, the peacocks, and look at their behavior online, we can see that everything is about gaming, everything is about themselves, and everything is a vanity project. They admire celebrities, and they express their brand's desire and admiration for fashion, glamour brands, high-end fashion, etc. So they engage, the way they engage with wider beauty and fashion is via their portraying themselves on the various social networks. So what was really interesting during this study is that on the right-hand side you can see the total sample and the breakdown per typology, and you see that over the 4 countries, the 12 to 19-year-old that we looked at, there are a huge majority of peacocks out of those 4 countries. But when we look more specifically at India, it's slightly different. It's mostly smeared kittens and achievers. And what we learned from the smeared kittens is, they make more of celebrity startups. They create a narrative, and they follow and they engage more with those celebrities, and they associate themselves with them. The way to engage with the achievers is slightly different. You need to produce educational content that is going to resonate with them and with their behavior. So continuing on in the audience and going back to the peacocks, this is how they behave throughout the day online, and where they engage the most and what they talk about. So you can see the various topics that they are discussing online. So celebrities, face, fashion, food, friend, motivational, religion, school, and sports. And you see at which time during the day they discuss these various topics. So this is something that is going to inform, should inform your content strategy and your content planning throughout the day to push the right type of content towards them at the right time and on the right channel. So it's not just on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. This conversation could occur on blogs and forums as well. So some of the trends that we've identified during this piece of study, people don't engage solely with your products and the campaigns. So in that case, it was a facial product. You can see the association with some of the fashion items, with nail arts, with jewelries, etc. You can identify the type of makeup they use through image analysis, and the other high-end brands that they associate the customer brand with. So some other trends that were quite interesting in this part of the world is that most of the conversation were around anti-advertising and corporate backlash against products that promote the lightening of skin. So we noticed a lot of tweets, a lot of images, a lot of conversation around that. So just as an example, you can see not only at Unilever, at Dove, at Nivea India, and Olay India too, all racist ads making the dark skin look like it's third class. Another one at MAC Cosmetics, India disappointed that you never have stocks in a darker skin range. Don't you know that Indian skin tone is dark? So that's another typical use case of social listening is detecting potential crisis and address those crises very early on, because before it spreads throughout various media. Now the product launch. So our take on the product launch and how to measure various campaigns online is to look first at the potential reach, so the overall eyeballs, looking at the audience. So here in this example, you can see the overall reach for this campaign, which is 4.5 million users. We can monitor the impact on brands. through the product and the brand itself. So if I may, it's like looking at the overall traditional sales funnel. You have your overall reach at the top, and then you're narrowing it down to your customers. So looking at engagement, the number of mentions of the campaign, so which users are engaged with your brands, which users are mentioning your brand and products. Going down to advocacy, looking at customer satisfaction. So if you say it's like a social net promoter score, and look at the impact of those campaigns. So this is the mapping of the positive themes from the same campaign. So what are the keywords? What are people talking about in terms of volume on the right-hand side and the low frequency of the mentions on the left-hand side? So by just analyzing those data, pre-campaign, pre-launch, during the launch, and after launch, you can course correct your campaign and change your messaging base to emphasize those positive keywords. So new product development. Through listening the online conversations, you can inform your research and development team. So on many occasions with some of our clients, we help them change, launch some products that they were not planning on launching, but there was a huge demand online, or correcting some of their product, taking them out of the market as an extreme measure, and to change the product and relaunch it based on that insight. So when you look at ID creation, what are the barriers to category brand consumption? You can also look at your competitors and position yourself accordingly. Product development, identifying the demand from the specific audiences, test your product, test your messaging, launch the product, and then review. Finally, talking about the ambassadors. So we work with with Coty on one of their brand, Rimmel. They wanted to measure the impact of the ambassadors on the mention of the brand. And so here's the list of the ambassadors that they used, and I'm going to look more specifically at Georgia May Jagger, online presence. So if you look at the online mention, the conversation of the brand associated to Georgia May Jagger, most of the conversation are around Rimmel, obviously, but she's also associated to a lot of competitors and other brands. And it's interesting to see that on another event that she was doing, people were talking about the sunglasses that she was wearing, and not the product that she was supposed to sponsor, that she was supposed to display. So brands can identify the type of association the type of ambassador that they should work with based on that conversation. Now a little bit about the company, SYNTHESIO. So we have operations in four countries. So the US, France, the UK, and Singapore for APAC. We, according to Forrester, we have the #1 data coverage throughout the regions, the #1 quality. We have now over 500 customers. We provide analysis in more than 80 languages, and we cover more than 200 countries. We not only a software vendor, we also provide services and insight services like some of the case studies I went through today. Thank you.